in preparing for my presentation, as you can see, I don't have a young mind. So I decided to enlist the help of a young mind, and so the first section of slides are actually produced by a 19-year-old mind, the mind of my 19-year-old daughter. And as adults, we can often wonder what on earth is going on in young minds. And so Marisa has actually prepared a little diagram for you. And in my work, I find that it seems to me that children at increasingly younger age have a lot on their minds. And when we think of all the bits and pieces, and look, I'm not responsible for what's on here. I'm actually not going to talk about the details. But for many children, their life can be as hectic and fast-paced as the adult world that they share. And when we think of what they're trying to achieve, they're trying to fit in, they're trying to keep up, they're trying to cope. And even in primary schools now, and this is very real to me because I'm trying to bring my programs into primary schools, the curriculum is crammed. And so there's a sense of fullness that these children live in, combined with developmental changes, maybe things going on at home, and of course social interactions. And so what can take place is a mind that is absolutely crammed. And this can of course elevate young nervous systems so that they are really battling with stress. And as we're probably all aware, in a state of pressure, it can feel like the mind is full, and then habits arise such as black and white thinking, fixed mindsets. So what mindfulness can offer is the opportunity to notice what's going on inside. And it starts with what's going on inside. And so they can begin to see that life isn't black and white. It's actually an amazing spectrum of tones and colours. They can start to distinguish what's happening in their mind, where their attention may be drawn to. And as you can see in this diagram, there is a lot of technology in there. And we all, we've been listening to speakers earlier about the pros and cons of technology. And one of the challenges of technology, there's endless temptations for the mind to be multitasking and also to be elsewhere, not present. So mindfulness offers children the opportunity to pause and notice. And as this starts to happen, the mind can begin to clear. And with the black and white full mind, there's not many possibilities open. But when there's space and there's time for the body and mind to settle and clear, then there are possibilities. And there's even space for seeing things differently, hopefully for inspiration and maybe even for revelation. So now I'd like to invite you into one of my mindfulness classes. This is actually a school in Noble Park in Victoria. And I was thinking as I got this slideshow together, I'm totally indebted to a small number of totally inspirational educators, and Bill Liston, the principal of this school, is one of them. I met him in 2004, and I'm still working at that school. I've actually seen an entire generation go through with a meditation program that is taking up curriculum time. I'm also totally indebted to Charlie Scudamore at Geelong Grammar, and now I'm working for MLC. Without the commitment of this small number of schools, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been able to develop my work. So when the children walk into the classroom, the first thing they do is take their shoes off. And it doesn't matter if they're 3 years of age or 18 years of age, because this is like a recognition that they are a body with a mind. There's this duality. And when they take their shoes off, it helps them drop their awareness down from the intellect, where it can get stuck, to connect with the body. And I really loved Matt Cornell's presentation, because the first thing I asked them to do is imagine their head is floating. And I love seeing the entire level of heads all raised at least a centimetre. And then what these children are doing here is literally feeling, rocking back and forth over their feet and feeling where that alignment is, where that point of balance is within their bodies, so that they can feel more spacious, they can feel stronger. And with any of the mindful practices we do, we actually relate this to their life. So it's not sort of a separate experience. We're talking about, well, when could you use this? You could use this lining up under the basketball net, walking into the maths class for a test, or standing on stage just like me. I've been rocking over there. And then we proceed to a whole range of body awarenesses and noticing that states are temporal. So we're not permanently tight and constricted and tense. With young children, you have fun with playing, Simon Says with this practice. Obviously, all these practices can be adapted and tailored to suit different age groups. So from tension to relaxation, and feeling the body immediately transform into a soft, relaxed, loose situation, and then exploring the boundaries. It's really interesting. I was so interested when I heard about the work of Susan Kaiser Greenland in the US. I've never met her, and we're using many similar modalities and concepts. She's got an ABC, and we heard one from the Lama this morning. My ABC is awareness, balance and conscious choice, because when we're aware and when we come into balance, there is scope for choosing carefully, compassionately and consciously. And as you can see, we have fun in mindfulness classes. I don't think you'll see any grim faces in these photos. It's a wonderful thing to experience with a class of children. Obviously the work, and for me it does begin with the self, building awareness of the self, but that extends to others. And so sometimes in the classes we do things like a moving Qigong balance, and it is just a fabulous experience to feel everybody breathing as one, moving as one, and that's what's happening here. And so I find that children, it doesn't matter what age they are, have an insatiable curiosity to find more about what's going on inside, to start learning. They love to learn about their bodies. So I bring in a whole folio full of muscle charts and charts of the skeleton and talk to them about, as they're aligning, there's 200 bones and 600 muscles slotting into place. And we progress from the gross awareness of the body into the more inner awareness of the world of their organs and breathing, and even little shifts in energy. So that, of course, goes into feeling the breath. That's what these children are doing, connecting to the diaphragm. And they even love to learn about the world of their cells. And it's pretty empowering for them to realise that when they align their bodies, settle and let go of stress, and tune into the breath, they literally can make choices that are affecting trillions of cells. And this is getting to the part of the course that I just love, because what we're doing in mindfulness is bringing the attention to the present moment. And attention is the prerequisite of learning. If children can't settle and pay attention, they really can't learn effectively. And so I bring in all sorts of bits and pieces, including gifts from nature. And I love for them to realise that the extraordinary can be found in the ordinary. In fact, really nothing is ordinary if you give it the gift of your attention. And so what these children are doing is actually exploring herbs and spices and listening to shells. And in these states, they move from superficial looking into seeing details, from just hearing to actively listening. And so it's an absolute joy to share with them in these experiences. And I find it totally humbling. And often the words of William Blake come to mind: to see the world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. And time loses meaning in these moments. And it's wonderful for the children to know that during these moments, they are really igniting neural circuits, just as effectively as if they're doing a maths problem. If they can hold it's actually said that being able to hold your attention is the hallmark of a genius. So I often feel that I'm surrounded by geniuses. And there's no limit to the range of mindfulness practices. What these children, and they can be tailored absolutely into any part of the curriculum. These children are actually studying the brain and the nervous system, so they're making neural networks out of pipe cleaners. And ultimately, the skills of mindfulness, of knowing the self, of knowing where their attention is, of actually developing a caring attitude with self-knowledge, creates a state of self-efficacy. And that self-efficacy brings in turn, it's like cream rising, because there's so much potential within them that as they start to connect to that situation, they feel more empowered, they have a sense of trusting themselves, and ultimately this means that as they grow older, they're less likely to resort to risk-taking behaviour and unkind acts like bullying and ultimately drug and alcohol abuse, self-harm, eating disorders and so on. And to me, building the skills of mindfulness is like filling a personal well. And as this well fills, it can spill out to others. So as they learn to respect themselves and care for themselves, and we put this into practice in a group situation a lot, we use a lot of smiling. Actually, smiling is, a lovely quote about smiling is it's a curve that straightens out a lot of things. And it's the shortest distance between two people. And so as the skills evolve, children can learn impulse control. They can learn that there's part of them that's stronger than their habits and their reactions. If you take the letters of the word reaction and change the same letters, change them around, move a C, you get creation. So they can shift from just reacting the same old thing to pausing, to choosing wisely. And then, of course, instead of assuming and judging, they can begin to be patient and really understand each other. And that just opens up a beautiful connection. I could talk for the rest of the afternoon about my love for meditation. Meditation, but I haven't got time. Meditation is the incubation of mindfulness skills. And I could say a lot about the benefits, but I think it'd be much better if I quoted what the children have to say. A grade 2 student, and this is verbally in class, after meditation, I feel new and fresh. A grade 4 boy, and he actually was brave enough to say this in front of the class. His parents are divorcing. I noticed that I could let go of the pain. A grade 6 boy said, "It is life-changing. When I start to get angry now, I walk away and deal with the issue when I'm calmer." And an autistic student said, "I love meditation, I didn't want it to stop." So as children learn these vital life skills of noticing, of calming their, clearing and calming their head so that their heart can shine more brightly, they can feel they're in really good hands and they're their own hands. So what I'd like to share with you is a few micro moments of mindfulness. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but you've got an envelope in your bag. And if you would like to put down your iPads and your notes just for a minute and get out that envelope, there's a feather in it. Okay, when you've got your feather, and you might just like to make yourself comfortable, just uncross your legs, let your feet relax on the floor. And just feel your spine resting against the back of the chair. And feather in one hand, just letting your hands relax in your lap. And you might like to, if you choose, let your eyelids rest, just softly and gently letting them close down over your eyes. And then just taking the feather to the back of the other hand and stroking it softly and gently and noticing how your hand responds. No judgment, just noticing, turning the palm over along the inside, bringing the feather to your neck and down your ear and across your forehead. And then just relaxing the feather back in your lap, taking your attention to the breath and just letting the breath be soft as a feather. Letting that softness spread through your face and your body. And then just when you're ready, deepening the breath and returning your attention to enjoy the rest of the afternoon. And thank you so much for your kind attention.